the result, but she liked the competitive spirit. She saw some of that confidence carry over from their win versus Syracuse.
Absolutely, partner. And let me tell you one thing that neither Amanda nor I did was played 2 sports in college, like Nell Fortner, volleyball and basketball.
It was a tough start to conference play, reaching the midway mark for both of these teams as Blackshear and Hank jump center. Georgia Tech controls, and we are underway.
Expect both these teams to go right to their jugular defensively. You're going to see a lot of zone from Clemson. You're going to see a lot of tough, scrappy man-to-man from Georgia Tech.
Off the pitch out, a +1. Kayla Blackshear in and out. Blackshear coming off a season-low 1 point. Missed all 6 of her field goal attempts against North Carolina. Would have been a good omen for her. Here's a spin and a reverse. Bradford, no good. As we take a look at Georgia Tech's starters, no change to Nell Fortner's 5. With 3 freshmen in the starting lineup. Morgan, Dunn, and Noeto. Adanaz and Blackshear round things out. Clemson looking to press the tempo. As Ruby Whitehorn, the McDonald's All-American freshman.
Morgan just getting in the picture there. Andy got poked in the eye, and she's just got to shake it off, keep going, or get out.
Perpignan, the point guard. Robinson and Hank down low as the Tigers throw it away.
Well, hopefully all players are safe. And I'll tell you what, freshmen, you can't play with them. You can't play without them. And they just didn't even recognize that she didn't have her head. She didn't have her, maybe she lost a contact. We got to make sure that's taken care of.
Let's take a look at why Morgan is trying to blink out that pain in her right eye.
Yeah, just on the follow-through, just an incidental contact after the swipe, but I think anything malicious there. We kind of had a little run. We ran into each other after the national anthem, you know, right here on the sideline. Incidental contact.
Sure.
That's what the refs are calling.
You know, Nell Fortner obviously watching intently as Morgan will stay on because this Georgia Tech backcourt stretched thin tonight. Bianca Jackson, their 6th-year grad transfer from Florida State, unavailable. And so you're dealing with a very young backcourt trying to pick the locks of a Clemson team that defensively forces 19 turnovers a game. Both teams scoreless so far as Dunn gets the quick hands to poke it out.
I like the deflection. Remember, 3 deflections equal 1 steal. And they say you need about 12 of those to make a difference in the game, and that's a great start for Kara Dunn. I do the same thing, though. If Tonie Morgan looked over to all of us assistants, we would have been sitting there acting like we didn't make eye contact with her. Don't look at her. Don't look at her. Leave her in, Coach.
Opinion. Darts past Noero. Dishes to Bradford. And she's good from the corner. New Bradford leads the Tigers in 3-point attempts. It's Clemson on the board.
And so here's where we see this defense extended by Clemson. Great job with the diagonal opposite. That's how you break that press. That's textbook right there, my friend.
Let's leak some seconds off the shot clock for Georgia Tech to get set up. Noeero. 3-point threat. She's hemmed in by Hank with the hip check foul called on Clemson's Hannah Hank.
So you got the long ball here in the back. As soon as the mate goes, they're going into full court press right there. And that's what Georgia Tech practiced. They went through their press break exactly. It doesn't always happen. You don't always get to do things exactly like you practice them.
Adanaz off the mark. Blackshear fighting hard for the offensive rebound. It comes down to Dunn for the land. Kayla Blackshear gets the offensive rebound, and that could be a big equalizer for Georgia Tech tonight. Tag. Blackshear is 2nd in the ACC in offensive rebounds per game.
We talk about differences that are difference makers, and when Kara Dunn can get the stick back, not just get the offensive rebound, but stick it back, that's a difference maker.
Foul called on the defense against Noeto. We'll tag Perpignan for her first, team 2nd.
Watch this. Touch to the tuck, and then let me find my teammate under there. Get an assist out of that. Why not get an offensive rebound, an assist, and a real high percentage shot for your...
Do you think it was a pass?
It might have not been. It might have been a shot. Who knows? It doesn't matter. All I know is it went in.
Blackshear will still take the assist.
Yeah, I would.
Dunn lines up to 3. Long Karam, good seal by Adanaz, allows Morgan to track it down.
You got to take it with confidence. Freshmen, you can't play with them. You can't play without them. And right now, Georgia Tech's playing with a lot of them.
And 3 in their starting 5. Adanaz got the seal Had it chopped away, and last off of the Tigers, even though Warren Adenaz dove for it. Tech retains 7 to shoot.
Yeah, I think she might have touched the baseline when she made contact with that. Warren Adenaz had great energy in practice yesterday, and the shoot-around today, good communication, high touch, high talk.
Tech has to hurry. Nuero. She is smothered.
Gotta shoot it.
And they won't get a shot up. Now Clemson can do that. They're 4th in the ACC in turnovers forced per game, and not as much urgency as Georgia Tech needed with the shot clock winding down.
And that's where it's a 50-50 ball for your coaching stat crew, not the NCAA stat crew. Because was that forced or was that controllable? All I know is they made it happen.
Misfire by Robinson. Morgan, dangerous in the open floor. As she collides into a Tiger and an offensive foul on Tonie Morgan.
Yeah. A rare misstep by the freshman right there. All she's got to do is just stop and pop, elevate, see what's going down. 1-on-4, probably not the best decision, but again, lots of experience, still working on the little poke in the eye, going to get that checked out, make sure that she's okay.
Now, Fortner was very worried about Morgan getting into foul trouble. It's only her first. Kim Swartz in off the Georgia Tech bench. The drive and dish. 3 in the corner. Elmore down the well. 9th 3 of the season for the sophomore, Michaela Elmore.
And you saw the pass. Who else? Robinson. She's a downhill driver, but she's also a penetrate pitch from your long post player. That's great.
Elmore just a 2.3-point-a-game score. Push the Tigers ahead 6-2.
Just stretches the defense. Here's where the young folks in the Yellow Jackets are trying to lean into the pressure, but you're going to get it for 40 minutes from Clemson. I promise you that.
Dunn challenged well, but somehow rolls that in.
I'm telling you, it doesn't. The harder I work, the luckier I get. One of my favorite Vince Lombardi quotes.
She's well defended. Dunn on the board to make it 6-4. A contested 3. Elmore runs after her own miss. Keeps it alive.
Coach Butler's exhorting her team to move the ball, reverse it. You want to move the ball away from the pressure. Take it to you.
That is too much quickness. Deja Bradford, she wants to be called Nunu.
Yeah.
And who are we to argue?
Never going to argue with that.
And a team high 17 in the Tigers win Sunday versus Boston College. Only had 15 her previous 3 games, so found her touch in Chestnut Hill. Can Dunn find her touch in the corner? No. Makes the Jackets 2 of 8 to begin, and they have had to weather some very chilly offensive starts in ACC play.
I'll tell you, that's a great point. And Nunu Bradford, and defensively and offense, is making sure that's going to happen. She has a repertoire of moves, and you're seeing a few of them early here today.
Robinson on the dribble drive, can't connect. Another charge? No, they call the block instead. Malaysia Douglas, the junior, with her first personal, team's 3rd. As we've hit our first time out, 8-4 Clemson. Just
when you have auto glass damage, trust Safelite.
Clemson leads Georgia Tech 8-4. She was wearing a different uniform last year, but Cameron Swartz cooked Clemson last January, playing for Boston College. Tied a BC school record with 39 points in an 80-74 win. She also threw in 9 rebounds for good measure tag.
Wow.
And Amanda Butler spotted her in the scouting report pretty early when we caught up with her this afternoon.
You know, that's one of the things you do is you just go back and say, how did we defend them last year? And you have to remember, oh, we defended this player on that team who's on this team now differently.
Got to copy and paste.
That's right.
From one scouting report to the next as the mid-range jumper falls. Kayla Blackshear.
And credit the assistant coaches for getting in and doing some extra work with Kayla Blackshear before the game. And the players that come early and stay late, when it pays off for them like that, you just are happy for every player that goes down for.
Just 1 point the other night for the sophomore from Orlando. She had reached double figures in the previous 4. 2-point game for Pinion. ISO'd on Morgan. Shot clock at 5. Oh, threads the needle. Can Douglas hoist it in time? She does. Can't finish. Slapped out, and it is last off of Clemson.
Man, but it gives Clemson a chance to set up their full court press. You see Coach Butler just relentless about that full court press, but credit Georgia Tech for that shot clock. I mean, just right down to the wire.
Able to break the pressure. And this full court pressure often sinks back into a zone. And Amanda Butler, as you know, Tag, one of the best zone defense tacticians in the women's game.
Absolutely. So on offense, you've got to move the ball faster than the zone can recover.
Tech has missed its first 4 from 3, but is chased down in the reset to Hermosa.
And there's lots of ways to move the ball. You can move the ball with a pump fake. You can move the ball with a make. You can move the ball with a dribble. You can move the ball with a hesitation go by, and just get the defense to shift a little bit. But Kara Dunn off the ball right there. She was pointing and directing traffic as a freshman. Now, sometimes you can see those things and sometimes you can't, but we as coaches, we're looking for those little things, as my assistant coach here, Sheila Collins, used to say.
Clemson leads by 2 as we come up on 3 minutes in the first quarter. A dribble handoff to Perpignan, the Elon transfer.
Boy, she's been fun to watch this year.
Ruby Whitehorn, also fun to watch. And the freshman with a tough finish.
Lean in, Ruby Whitehorn, mark it down. She likes the left side, but I'm telling you, there was nothing left about that at all. That was right.
And an overthrow from Swartz. Turnover is Georgia Tech's 3rd. Now, Ruby Whitehorn has hit a bit of a rut of late. You saw her convert on the last play, but Whitehorn's last 2 games coming in, just 3 of 16 from the field. She's turned it over 10 times, but on the year, the freshman from Detroit, 2nd on the Tigers at 11 per.
She's a versatile, mobile post player, and you can't coach long. You either got it or you don't.
Hank with a hand in her face, no good.
So last possession down, we saw Coach Fortner telling the team, reverse the ball, lean into the pressure. You got to value every possession.
Ari Swartz with the knockdown from downtown, and that might send a shiver down Tiger fans' spines after remembering what Swartz did as a member of BC last year. She's on the board. It's a 1-point game.
Absolutely. You called it. When we saw her in practice, asked her, was she thinking about that at all? She said, no, not at all. It's a new game. It's a new night. But I tell you what, the rest of us who saw it are thinking about it.
It was 27% from 3 this year, but maybe starting to turn a corner. She came in 5 for 10 her last 3 games as the Jackets suffocate Bradford into the double dribble. We take another look at the Swartz 3.
So you watch here as they drive down, drop the defense, create space for Cameron Swartz in bottom of the net.
First team all-conference a year ago. Led the ACC in scoring in conference play at 19 per for the Eagles.
So you're talking about what you're doing offensively against the zone, and that's not it. It's short, it's sharp, it's value every possession. Coach Fortner says, look at me. Short, sharp, pump fake. Get them to lean into the lanes so that you can create space for that pass.
Freshmen will learn quickly. You have to be ball tough against this Clemson defense. Downhill drive by Perpignan, and she finishes. Marie Perpignan, red transfer from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, who's 2nd in the CAA in assists per game last year for the Phoenix of Elon. Morgan double team, hooks it away.
So it's that diagonal opposite pass against this 1-2-2 full press.
Morgan was able to evacuate it just in time. Lays it off for Hermosa, and Hermosa could be somebody, Tag, that could be very key in the middle of that zone tonight. She's had a very down year offensively. The senior from Spain makes it 12-11. And a steal at the top of the key. As Blackshear shoots the gap, she strides in and gives Tech the lead back. That's
exactly what you want to do if you're Georgia Tech. Get up into the lanes. A high ball turnover converted into points. That's a big-time move.
4 first quarter points for Blackshear. Pair of freshmen going to work, Dawn and Blackshear. Bradford. Robinson wheeling, pitching. Hank is open and connects on the 3.
She is smooth as ice. Clemson has always been known to have one of those long balls. I mean, she's almost out of bounds when she shoots.
Hank, the senior from Port Lincoln, South Australia. Swartz, another one.
Wow.
Both teams starting to find their offense after a choppy start to the game. The pull-up by Perpignan as time expires in the first half. It's off the mark, and we are level at 15. Cam Swartz with a spark off the bench. 5 points in the opening quarter for the Yellow Jackets. All-time this series, 46-45 in favor to Tech. You wouldn't expect anything else. Watching her, both her mom and dad played collegiately. Her dad to the right played for Digger Phelps at Notre Dame. Her mom, the former Andrea Mangum, part of the Providence Athletics Hall of Fame, still second in that school's history in career rebounds.
Ballers. And when you get the children of ballers, you can't wait to tell that story because it just lets you know something good's going on at home.
And right on cue, Amari Robinson pulls Clemson back in front.
So I had the privilege of playing against her high school coach, and wow, look at this.
Bradford with the strip and the score. You can never take a breath against this Clemson pressure defense.
I mean, they are just in every lane. They're getting touches, even when they don't get the steal. Remember, the 3 deflections equals 1 steal. So odds are the next one will be a steal. They're just touching the ball all the time. So you've got to rip through. You've got to shorten the pass, shape up, show strong, and shorten every pass.
Tell Clemson making a very concerted effort to blanket Tonie Morgan, the ACC Rookie of the Week.
Nice job by Aviance Carter on the baseline to shorten the pass, get into the gap, and make sure of it.
Almost an overthrow. Carter almost had her pocket picked. A contested jumper, and she's fouled. Shot clock at 3, but Aviance Carter shoot 2.
You see Aviance Carter, AC saying, that's me. Coach Fortner telling her team, drive, slide, and then take it to the gap. Find the open man. The difference between the zone that Clemson's running and the zone that Syracuse ran last week, the matchup zone moves. It's man and zone in 2 different places. This is an area, so you can take someone out of their area, draw someone else into it, but you have to move the ball faster than the zone can recover. And you're seeing how Georgia Tech's discovering how to do that right now. It's not easy.
Yeah, there is a feeling out process. You can simulate it and practice all you want, but when you're trying to break the locks of it for real,
that's right.
Kind of speeds up the processing. A 2-for-2 trip for Carter. Just give it a nice boost off the bench for Nell Fortner of late. Rebound popped in the air and out of bounds and 2 Tech.
Yeah, a rare miss for Robinson on that elbow. She is money ball. If you look at the analytics, and there's tons of them, sometimes it's too much information. Now, not for you, because you're a savant when it comes to these numbers, but for the rest of us, Festivus for the rest of us, sometimes there's too much information. You just got to play. You just got to let the game come to you.
Swartz misfires. Long rebounder Moses. Swartz will line it up again. This time chopped away to the Tigers.
And it doesn't matter, Andy.
Oh, that blow by Whitehorn to the rack for 2.
All you, man. All you. Whitehorn is coming alive. So move the ball in full court faster than the zone can recover as well. Keep passing it, Coach Fortner said, up the floor, not backwards.
Talking about changing gears for freshman Ruby Whitehorn as Hermosa gets blocked. Tigers out and running again with Douglas.
Watching film, one of the things I was really impressed with Whitehorn about is just how she battles in what we call the war zone, block to block. Yes, she's long.
Tripped over her own feet. Leads to a fast break for the Jackets. Blackshear to Carter. Carter with the gathered dribble and the lay-in. Aviance Carter with 4 straight for Tech.
And let me tell you, Aviance Carter came up big in Chapel Hill for the Yellow Jackets when they made their run. And she has just really emerged lately as somebody that can make a difference, a big guard that they need.
That is pure water from Amari Robinson.
So you see that distance when we're talking about the analytics? That's the exact same distance. If you drew the free throw and the short corner, that is her sweet spot all around the court.
Blackshear from the same spots on the other end.
Hey, anything you can do, I can do better. The same. I could put it in the bottom of the net in that same space, different part of the court.
A little short corner symmetry here as we have a hand check foul called on the Yellow Jacket Swartz. Her first and the first of the quarter.
Whitehorn's gimping a little bit when she took that quick first step, which she's got all of, by the way. You just saw her just gimping just a little bit, something she didn't like on the way she landed.
4 new subs for Amanda Butler's Tigers. 4 and 5 in the ACC have already surpassed their conference win total from last year. And one of those wins, a really impressive one over number 7 Virginia Tech on December 29. Tigers' first win over a top 10 opponent since December of 2000. And they also played Notre Dame tough.
They sure did, man. They sure did. And I'll tell you, when you have those flashes of brilliance throughout the year, those are the things that you have to go back on. This is Separation Sunday coming up. This is the Sunday where everybody separates in the league. It happens left coast to right coast. It doesn't matter. And what you have to do is have your players go back to those moments and those places. And there it is. Maybe just a little tweak there. Give a shout out to trainer Donna Bullock. Been there 35 years since I played. Donna's been there. I said, what are you doing here?
She's an athletic training legend.
Yes, she
Wrapping
is.
the ankle of Ruby Whitehorn, but like you said, tripped up trying to break down Swartz on the dribble a moment ago. That's a 3 by Morgan.
Wow.
Not the only talented freshman filling it up tonight at McCamish. A quick trigger in transition by Ott's no good. Run down by Harrison, but it deflects off her leg. Clemson to retain.
Well, it's the right idea by Otts, but probably not the right time. You see Coach Butler turning around quickly. Morgan, long ball, short ball, she's got it all. Just give her the ball. And right now, rub a little dirt in that little, nothing doing with the eye injury from earlier.
Tonie Morgan still below 20% from 3 on the season, but that makes her 5 for 11 from beyond the arc in ACC play. Jackets by 1. Morgan drops it off to Hermosa. And Amanda Butler wants time. Morgan showing the open floor speed. And Hermosa rewarded for running the floor herself. Georgia Tech with a 3-point edge. Threading the needle to the senior from Spain. The Jackets lead by 3.
Invention.
A 7-0 run for Nell Fortner's Yellow Jackets, and they lead Clemson 26-23 with 6:01 remaining in the second quarter. Tonie Morgan, the ACC Rookie of the Week. When we talked with Nell at shoot-around today, she said she's gaining comfort in her game and how that translates to the ACC level, and I think a textbook illustration is what she has done from three-point range of late.
Absolutely. She said, I want her to make that one audible adjustment, that one little thing that can be a dagger, a backbreaker, a score maker, a playmaker. And although it hasn't gone down as many points-wise, to her credit, she's dishing the ball.
4 for 7 from 3 over her last 5 games, including tonight, but 5 assists already. Robinson plows over Swartz, and a charge called. It was going to be a turnover if not for that. And Swartz gives up her body and forces the second foul on Robinson.
Well, that's when you want your downhill driver to have a good automatic braking system. You got to know that when Cameron Swartz is in the game, she can make you look like a bad player, really, just by her defensive prowess.
I think Amanda Butler would have preferred that be a turnover because Robinson now to the bench with 2 fouls. Elmore takes her spot as Morgan spins away from the pressure, poked away from behind, but unable to be saved by Perpignan. And Tech with a chance to extend this 7-0 run.
So it's a good decision by Perpignan. You don't save the ball under the other team's basket unless you know who you're getting it to.
Like you said, drawn 2, circulating it around. Pass was stuffed out of bounds. Georgia Tech to retain.
So that's where Hermosa's just got to shape up, show strong. Coach Fortner said, just face the basket. It doesn't matter if you're going to shoot or not. They don't know what you're going to do. Hey, I might not know what I'm going to do when I get the ball, but I'm going to look like I do. That's half the battle.
See Nunu Bradford report back in. Team high 7 for the Tigers. Now shadowing Swartz. Swartz coming off 13 points, 3 of them from 3 against North Carolina. Goes to work with a shot clock at 5. The step back with a hand in her face.
Here's what I'm doing. Nothing there. Don't do a great shot, great shot, great shot. That's what you're doing as a coach. Hey, you're 1 on 3, and never mind, great shot.
Give Swartz 7.
You called it.
39 for BC against the Tigers last year. Bradford slipping inside. Double crunches, no good. Rebound hauled in by Elmore.
Great job on the offensive board by the Tigers.
It is going to be tough to stay in front of Nunu Bradford. Swartz has that unenviable task.
This is the high horns play. You see every team in America running. You just reset in this last part of the shot clock, and your defense has got to shut down.
And that one. An air ball. Not sure Bradford got it off in time. Shot clock violation on Clemson.
Well, that's where the Tech bench has just got to go crazy. That's the first one for them this game.
Meanwhile, Clemson has missed his last 5 from the field. What's jammed up the Tigers' offense, Tech?
Yeah, it's just the dig down and the defensive tags that Georgia Tech is making. They just haven't missed a beat in their defensive schemes. Coach Butler just said, well, that's pointless press if we just send that dribble slide. Absolutely, we agree. And that's not exactly how you on a paper, how you break the press, but it is when you run it that way.
You don't want to have that one-woman press break as Carter tees up a 3, nicks the rim, rebound to the Tigers. Kiana Gaines, who had a career-high 18 points against Georgia Tech last year, fades Hank for the 3.
Hank's capable of doing that. It's high risk, high reward. But remember, when the ball goes through the bucket, they're putting on that full court press.
Hank with the second 3 of the night snaps the 9-0 Tech run. 2-point Yellow Jacket lead as we come under 4 minutes in the first half.
Here's where they've got to move the ball faster than the zone can recover. If you make that, again, you just start clapping as a coach. But otherwise, you've got to find an open player.
Georgia Tech just 2 of 10 from 3 tonight. Terpinian working baseline. Gaines, the sophomore from Columbus, Georgia. Pick and roll into Elmore, and she's fouled.
What a great no-look pass. Unbelievable. I got it. You take it. Makes the head turn to the right. Passes to the left. Watch this. Booyah. On the money.
Hermosa may have thought that she had already done the work defending the dive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was just, she just kind of put her to sleep there.
It's her first as Woan Adanaz takes her spot. 2 free throws for Michaela Elmore. She's 1 of 3 at the stripe this year. And a career-high 22 points against Western Carolina back on December the 10th.
You see Coach Butler going a little deeper into her bench right now, and sometimes a way to motivate your players that are in that first 5 is go to the next 5.
Well, with how relentless their pressure is, you have to have a deep bench.
Yeah.
You want to play in Amanda Butler's system.
I mean, there's hands, there's feet everywhere. The thing that you've got to do is control the controllables. We're sitting right here in Bobby Crimmon's court. One of the things that I remember most that Coach Crimmon said in practice, we'd sneak in and watch practice, and he said, learn to control the controllables. The refs, you can't control. The other team, you can't control. But your pump fakes, your takes, your head, just the no-look passes, those are one. Boxing out. Bruce Dalrymple was a player when I was here. Relentless on the boards, and that's what Georgia Tech's got to have tonight.
Yeah, because Georgia Tech is second in the ACC in offensive rebounding percentage. Clemson, one of the worst in defensive rebounding percentage. So even if you miss the first try, you have opportunities. Swartz has to hurry. Behind his screen, launches, no. Offensive rebound, Blackshear. Off the window on the stick back, no. And Clemson tears it away.
But it's just the fact that they're taking good looks, getting that offensive rebound and the putback. Both ends, you're right. That kind of analytics matchup is really fun to watch as a coach.
Pump fake, flyby, and Perpignan gets a bump.
Yeah. Perpignan's been quiet. I really expected when I came in after watching film, I thought, oh man, I'm really excited. And she's just quietly making a difference, doing the little things, taking leadership at that point guard position. I talked to Coach Jim Davis on the way down here, and he said, just keep an eye out for her, and I'm enjoying that.
Jim Davis, of course, the legendary former Clemson head coach, off the front iron from Whitehorn, and snatched by Blackshear.
And let me tell you who Coach Nell Fortner was talking about. Whitehorn and Blackshear, the matchup that is right now. 2 long, mobile post players. Get into the gaps. Move the ball faster than the zone can recover. Go behind the zone to shift it.
Swartz gets the step on Whitehorn and the pull-up long. Jackets on a scoring drought approaching 3.5 minutes. Another opportunity for the Tigers to retake the lead. Whitehorn checks her feet, fires away, spins it out.
She's just special. I mean, when your long post player can do that in transition, boy, that really stretches your defensive scheme.
Oh, Morgan, off balance and one. She shot that with the offhand, off the wrong foot with contact, and Morgan made it look routine.
That's great, because I got nothing for you. I had Coach Butler, a referee, and the video board, and you're calling it perfectly, partner. Scoop and score.
Foul is on Elmore, and Tonie Morgan for their first visit to the free throw line. Already 5 assists, and give her 6 points. And the Jackets lead by 4.
She was the first one in the gym today, and that is a good sign for the Yellow Jackets.
Tonie Morgan, 4th in the ACC in scoring among freshmen. Off the rim from Elmore. Morgan also leads all ACC freshmen in rebounds and is 3rd in assists. And she handles the Jackets leading by 4. They're tied at 15 through 1 quarter. Around the horn, Swartz lets it fly and sinks it. And that is somebody you can ill afford to lose in the zone. Cam Swartz, the first to double figures with 10.
Great job by the Yellow Jackets, moving behind the zone, through the zone, creating that space for Cam Swartz to drill the bottom of the net. Now, Clemson's got to answer, and believe me, they're capable of it. 2 very similar offensive schemes here.
Whitehorn kicks to Otts. Off the mark, Whitehorn glides in. Creates some space on Dunn. Misses the stick. And the glass last off one. Adenaz, Clemson to retain. Good to see Whitehorn back on the floor after she had to come off for a moment to get her ankle retaped.
And you see Won't Adenaz pointing to herself. Whitehead getting hot with herself, you know, talking to herself, positive self-talk, like, come on, man, let's go.
Just a hold on Dunn. Grappling with Whitehorn.
Just in case, Kara says, I don't know, but the Clemson bench sure thought so. We could hear it from here. You could see it from a long way off.
Well, you try to do anything you can to stay in front of Ruby Whitehorn.
Yeah.
Clemson's first McDonald's All-American signee in school history. Dunn got a piece, but Whitehorn follows her own miss.
Can you stand it? I mean, you get the block. You don't get a second chance at Whitehorn. She gets a second chance bucket off somebody else's block. Unbelievable. Relentless.
Ranked the number 15 player nationally out of powerhouse Edison High in Detroit. 5-second differential, shot clock, and game clock. Morgan shields on Perpignan. He tries to lunge a hand in. Dunn with the no-look into Won't Adenaz. Oh, that was set up well. She wants that back.
Yeah, you just took the thought right out of my head.
One last chance for the Tigers. Georgia Tech out of fouls to give. Got to be careful. The steal by Blackshear. And I don't think she heaved that in time. But Georgia Tech heads to halftime on top of Clemson, 34-29. Amanda Butler has some things that she will want to convey to her team at the halftime break as Georgia Tech holds the Tigers at 37% the second half. Clemson missed 11 of its last 13 shots tagged in that second quarter, just 37% in the first half. How can Amanda Butler's team reinvigorate its offense as we get set for the second half?
Well, interestingly enough, they've kind of got to do what Georgia Tech had to do for their offensive schemes. They've got to shorten the pass. They got to make sharper passes. Maybe not take that 3 in transition. Maybe get a breakdown in the defense. But credit Tech, they have had some really tough defensive runs.
A foul on Whitehorn 1 second into the third quarter. It's her first.
Yeah, I think that was just a little bit of miss. You see how the pressure is. You realize she's going to take a layup. No, she's not. I'm going to make sure she doesn't. And now
we'd have to slow down the clock to see how many tenths of a second elapsed before the whistle was blown, right, because we might have set a record in the women's game for fastest foul called at the beginning of a third quarter.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if they're going to take a look at this or not. They're going to reset the clock because it was, you know, Coach Fortner's saying, hey, I think it was an intentional hold. I think she grabbed her. And so what they're trying to discover here is, now, if we do an intentional foul with less than a second, now we've really hit a stat.
That is definitely a record.
At the beginning of the second half, not the end of the second half. We've seen it on the other side. I think it's the right call.
Jeffrey Smith, Meadow Overstreet, Edward Sedlasky will get a second look.
Yeah. I think you got it.
Well, we also are setting a record for the fastest time that we've gone to a timeout in the second half. We'll be back in a second.
Hockey's best hit the beat.
Again, clinching up on the Jackets, Cam Swartz.
Yeah, it wasn't a flagrant foul. It was just upgraded to an intentional foul, and that's the right call. And you saw Whitewarren go to the sideline. She's kind of biting her lip a little bit. She's like, oh, gosh, I just missed an assignment. And you're just trying to do what coach has asked you to do. And she thought, well, if I hold on to her for one more second, that'll help me do what coach has asked me to do.
So because of the intentional foul, Cam Swartz with 2 free throws and Georgia Tech to retain possession. Nell Fortner and Amanda Butler have been doing this and doing it well for a long time. I don't think either of them combined have seen an intentional foul called with 1 second elapsed in a third quarter or of a half.
Partner, you've called a couple of things ahead of time tonight, and you sure called that one.
And it stretches the Georgia Tech lead to 7. Swartz 4th in the ACC in free throw percentage, so you don't want to gift her any clean looks from 15 as she dishes to Morgan. Down to Adanaz. Through 3 defenders, can't get the roll. Adanaz not the most gifted finisher around the rim, but that's one that she's got to take.
I remember having a conversation with Coach Mickey DeMoss, who retired here at Georgia Tech, about finishing. I could teach a kid to finish. She said, Tag, you can't. But you just keep working and you stay around the rim and the ball will fall. She said, you can do that now. You just keep working them out and get it, the ball will fall.
There's a hip check and a half on Adanaz.
Yeah.
There are hedges and there are hedges.
Yeah, that's one of those high hedges right there. Long and tall. But good job keeping the ball around the perimeter. And what's happened now is a little bit of disruption in the flow of the game. You know, you felt the momentum, you felt it change, it stopped. But credit Coach Fortner with negotiating that territory for her team.
That was Adanaz's second. A pair of screens for Bradford. Fires it down low to Robinson. That is some pick and roll poetry between Bradford and Robinson.
Bradford and Robinson. I just talked to Amari Robinson's high school chemistry coach, and that's some great chemistry right there. She was an outstanding AP chemistry student. She said she was the #1 student in her class, and that was great chemistry right there, don't you think?
I love when you can tie the room together with that story. Blackshear digging in on Hank. Tough finish, Kayla Blackshear. Struggled in Chapel Hill. Blackshear now with 8. How about this? Georgia Tech's 15 field goals. Tonie Morgan, Kayla Blackshear have either scored or assisted on 13 of them, Ted.
Wow. That's good chemistry as well.
Robinson a clean look, chasing after her own miss, and she sends Cam Swartz to the floor. Foul on Robinson, and that's an early third against Clemson's leading scorer.
Oh, Swartz is grabbing her lower back there, so we'll have to get some treatment afterwards, but boy, was it worth it on her. And she's just around the ball a lot, and she plays smart, and you have to know that when you're defending her.
And out of bounds, last off Adanaz. Clemson turns the Jackets over. That'll prompt a quick sub as Adanaz comes off for Nell Fortner. Hermosa back in, but Georgia Tech up by 7. Amanda Butler keeps Amari Robinson on despite those 3 fouls.
Yeah, it's all hands on deck right now. And at this point in the season, you got to go with your gamers.
Bradford grabs her own miss. Shot clock did not reset.
Defensive tenacity, making the extra effort on defense, the extra movement.
Robinson draws the foul. Got in deep on Hermosa. Hermosa's second. Tech's second of the quarter.
You hear Coach Nell Fortner talking about the extra effort, the extra on defense, and Tasha Butts is their defensive coordinator. And she had the defense out for Georgia Tech before practice, before the shoot-around, with extra emphasis on what the differences that are different. You saw it in the first half. Every tag, every defensive rotation was just like clockwork. And you have to be able to do that because not only is Clemson relentless on defense, but they're relentless on offense. Scrappy in both ends of the floor.
No surprise to see Robinson cash in both free throws as she comes out. Elmore takes her spot. Robinson 86% at the line this year, and she shattered the Clemson school record for consecutive made free throws this year. Only a run-of-the-mill 37 straight, and a foul called. Bradford thought she got the rip. She'll get tagged for the personal instead. We're seeing Clemson start to ratchet up the full court pressure on the Jackets.
So remember, we're talking about that stretch. Watch Swartz have to rip it, check it, touch to the tuck. I don't know. The refs make calls, coaches make players, players make plays. You know that's my...
It is Bradford's first foul. Third of the quarter already against Clemson. Remember, they had that intentional foul on Whitehorn 1 second into the period.
What a way to start the half, and that's where Georgia Tech's got to capitalize on that momentum. When you had just that defensive intensity just got brought to a grinding halt, then you got to convert that offensively.
Dunn, no good on the pull-up. And it trickles last off of Elmore. Blackshear didn't get the offensive rebound, but it was her hustle that forced Elmore not to make a clean squeeze of it.
Well, that's the relentless effort. That's the extra effort on both ends of the ball right there.
We talked about Georgia Tech winning 8 straight at home versus Clemson. They've won 12 of 13 overall in the series. Swartz for 3. Hits the deck, no whistle, and a run out for Bradford. Bradford slicing, scooping. No, Elmore there for the offensive rebound.
Boy, that's just such a backbreaker. When you get that, you've already stretched out the defense. You have an opportunity for a defensive rebound to just take it back the other way, and then they get a new 30, new 20.
Pick and pop Elmore. No good on her second three-point attempt of the game, or most of the rebound. Morgan is warded off by Alasia Douglas.
Good decision by Morgan. Inside out ball with Blackshear.
Blackshear in rhythm. Kayla Blackshear in double digits with 10. Georgia Tech back out 7. Blackshear the steal. Gets around Hank. Bounces to Morgan. Give and go Blackshear.
Hey, you want to know who was second on the court after Morgan? Blackshear. She was right there with her today.
Helped trigger the transition to give Georgia Tech its largest lead. Blackshear with a dozen. Approaching 6 minutes in the third quarter. Bradford in the stare down with Swartz. Pinches across Whitehorn. Shot clock at 6. Slashes and kicks. Douglas, clean look at a 3, and it's down the well.
My goodness.
That was cold-blooded from Alasia Douglas, the junior, with her 14th 3 of the year. A momentum stopper.
Alasia Douglas, lefty, reminds me of the Clemson great Aaron Bath, a utility player that came up with a powerful long 3 there.
Blackshear with a foot on the line, showing her range. Kayla Blackshear was 0 of 6 against North Carolina. She is dialed in tonight, 7 of 10. And Swartz swats away the entry pass, tries to bat it off Whitehorn. It'll stay with Clemson, though.
Andy, these are the kind of answers that I'm talking about. I don't care if Swartz is gimping. Rub a little dirt in it. This is Blackshear in transition. Give go to her teammate. And I'm telling you what, Blackshear can shoot short. She can shoot long, though. And when you've got a post player that can shoot in transition long, I'm telling you, it's what we've been saying about Whitehorn all day long.
Swartz got a hand on the inbounds pass. Morgan wheeling and dealing to Swartz for 3. Down the well again. And Amanda Butler might want to stop the bleed, and her team is down by 11. She calls timeout. Another assist by Tonie Morgan. That's her 9th of the game already. Feeding Cam Swartz. She continues to cook against Clemson. Corner pocket. Jackets by 11. Cam Swartz using her additional COVID season to suit up just outside her hometown in Marietta, Georgia for Nell Fortner and the Yellow Jackets, but she was a known commodity across the ACC in her 3 seasons at Boston College and putting in some work against the Tigers here in the second half. She's got 15 points, active on the glass as well.
She's taking it on the chin, she's taking it on the back, she's taking it on the elbow, and she's taking it to the rack. But she can shoot in transition, the long ball, Andy.
And that forced the Clemson timeout as Tech has stretched the lead to 11. Morgan, meanwhile, with a career-high 9 assists. 4 of those have come in the last minute 31 as the Tigers throw it away, and that is certainly not what Amanda Butler had drawn up on the whiteboard.
Yeah, a very uncharacteristic, unforced turnover. For the Tigers, that's just not who they are, but it allows them to set up their full-court press, and this is who they are.
You have to turn it over. You'd rather it be dead ball for that very reason.
Yeah.
But Georgia Tech has protected the ball fairly well, only 6 turnovers so far.
They are making the extra pass. Coach Nell Fortner emphasized that. She said, don't overpass. Push the easy button. Get it into the gaps and let the game come to you. Don't force it.
Morgan with the hezzy in the bank shot falls. Morgan, like we said, a career-high 9 assists with still 4.5 to play in the third quarter. Near to double-double. That gives her 8. The reigning ACC Rookie of the Week. Making an early and compelling candidacy for back-to-back.
Well, Andy, contrast Tonie Morgan's shot right there with her first shot of the game where she got a charge. She stopped, she put on the brakes, elevated straight, letting the game come to you, reading and reacting to the defensive. The routes give the reads, defensively and offensively.
And they're going to call a push-off on Morgan on that dribble drive.
And look, I mean, finish that. And if you would have seen Hermosa finish on the tip-in on that, boy, that's Coach Tasha Butts giving her some encouragement there.
Her second, team's third. Now, Nell Fortner was rightfully, I wouldn't say concerned, but leery of Tonie Morgan getting into foul trouble tonight because with no Bianca Jackson, that augmented her responsibility, her importance in this Tech backcourt.
Absolutely.
Robinson from the elbow. Good. That was over Morgan. Amari Robinson, now team high 10 for the Tigers.
Boy, hometown hero right there, straight out I-20.
Ryder gave up the dribble early, still lands in the obliging hands of Swartz. Jackets have made their last 5 from the floor. Up to 50% for the game.
The relentless defense of Clemson, you see them just short sprints. They don't slide to a spot. They short sprint to a spot defensively.
Now Swartz has to heave it. It catches iron, but out to Hank. Good lockdown possession, though, by Clemson as they try to mount a rally.
Off camera, Coach Nell Fortner's just shaking her head. That's not the shot they want.
Pinballs down to Robinson, and she has a chance for an and one. And sometimes rallies can be sparked by something just like that.
I was going to say Robinson deserves every roll she gets because she is just around the rim. She's around playmakers, and she is one, by the way, as you see the eruption from the Clemson bench.
Eruption from the Amari Robinson fan section behind that bench.
Absolutely.
Snapped up some tickets from Douglasville, Georgia, to watch the senior stroke the free throw and make it an 8-point game.
So you see a little bit of extension still. I mean, they just don't let up. And what you have to do is just continue to run your press breaks, try to get that layup. If you can't lay it up, you got to set it up.
And that's an alley-oop from Morgan to Hermosa. Morgan had to fend off some pressure from Alasia Douglas, but got the seam as Swartz with the foul on the take by Perpignan.
Wow. That finish by Hermosa, that was exactly what they didn't get to do when the foul was called previously. And it was like, just play, repeat. Tonie Morgan saw exactly what was there before and did it again. And that's where I'm talking about Coach Nell Fortner saying, just push the easy button. If it was there last time, it might be there next time.
You got a 6'5" center, throw it up to her. Good things happen. Spills off in Perpignan. And Nell Fortner knew she struck gold in Tallahassee, Florida with Tonie Morgan, who played 6 varsity seasons. Ended her career as the number 24 prospect nationally, according to ESPN Hoop Girls. And she's got a career-high 10 assists. Jackets by 9.
That's after getting poked in the eye the first minute of the game, and nobody made eye contact with her. Just don't look at her. Don't look at her. Keep her in, Coach.
Clearly didn't affect her vision. Hermosa. Rebound Blackshear. Able to muscle out Robinson for that.
Great job with the reset by Blackshear. These are the extra efforts on offense that Coach Fortner's been chirping about all week.
Morgan hedge. Tic-tac-toe down to Blackshear. Uses the pump fake well and cleans it up.
Did you see the difference when they actually control tempo offensively?
Tough finish the other end by Whitehorn.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with controlling tempo. That's just a baller making plays. That is an outstanding counter by Whitehorn. Just right down the gut after that big-time tempo control by Georgia Tech.
Whitehorn's got 8. Former Michigan Miss Basketball. Her high school in Detroit has produced the last 4. Michigan missed basketballs. A late closeout. Swartz no good. Volley for it. Swartz loose and spun away with by Douglas, but she has her pocket picked by Blackshear. Rifle down to Hermosa for the lay-in.
Differences that are difference makers, Andy. Is Hermosa waking up and owning that block-to-block war zone?
Hermosa's got 8. White horn, too hard. Blackshear another board. Nerea Hermosa making a presence tonight. She had a season low in minutes. Last game versus North Carolina.
Aviance Carter was someone that made a difference in the last couple games. If they can just keep trading these buckets player for player, what you want is a different player every game making a difference.
Hermosa had the mouse in the house. Had the 5'6" Douglas playing at her back hip, and Hermosa went to work, and Georgia Tech once again extends the lead to 13.
Come on, man. Mouse in the house? Brilliant.
That is getting tenderized. Perpignan reads the screen and roll. As Hank lurking in the corner, lobs over the top. Robinson bodied up Swartz, grabs her own miss. That won't fall. Fighting for the miss. Yep. And we'll see who they tag that foul on. Looks like it's going on Robinson, and if so, that's her 4th.
I think it's going to stay here, partner. Okay. I think they're talking about it right now, and they're making sure who's on the lead call right that with Meadow Overstreet. That's the right call.
Yep, that is a 3rd on Swartz. Now Fortner can't believe it.
When Coach Fortner sees that great shot, Sean, she'll see. Here's what they're calling. Swartz undercutting while the defensive player, she has the right to the space right above her, but the fact that Swartz kept going on the push out was and if she had just stayed still, she might have gotten the over the back.
Also got caught in the chops as well.
Great effort by Cam Swartz, just a warrior.
That was team foul number 5, so it puts Clemson in the bonus. And Robinson rims it in. Robinson starting to discover her offense in the 3rd quarter, trying to rally her Tigers. One of 16 players in school history with 1,000 career points, 500 career rebounds. 2 for 2. She gets swapped out. Elmore takes over for her.
Just a quick breath. That's an extra 20 seconds. You know, when you have a chance to give that motor that is the player that's the go-to player at the moment just an extra 20 seconds to breathe, you do it every time you can.
Inés Noguero on for the first time since the 1st quarter, spun right into the trap, had it stripped, and a foul on Noguero as she was diving over the top of Elmore.
Yeah.
And remember, Noguero is the sub for Swartz. And the freshman got caught in the freshman moment there.
Well, and sometimes it's the difference between the international play as well. Sometimes in the transfer and Swartz is back in. Are you kidding me?
I think whether Nell Fortner wants to or not, she did not like the way that inbounds unfolded.
But you got one coach saying, hey, I'm going to give you 19.9 seconds rest, and you got another saying, I'm not giving you 2.5 seconds rest. Get back in there.
Meanwhile, Clemson pecking away at the free throw line.
Yeah.
Elmore makes the Tigers 9 of 11 at the line tonight. Final 15 seconds. And back down to a single-digit deficit. Hermosa stolen underneath Bradford. And how about this at the end of the 3rd quarter for the Tigers?
Yeah, you got to get it in because there's a 5-second count. Yeah, the coaches are talking about that.
It's going to be a delay of game warning.
Yeah. So with the pressure defense, Clemson wants to scoop and score right there. Just catch the ball, Coach Fortner says. If you're a lip reader, just catch the ball. That's all you got to do. If you want to take a shot, I don't think Coach Fortner wants one right now. I think she'd just like to just escape this quarter and get into the 4th quarter.
Well, this is a 6-0 Tigers run tag over the last 16 seconds, turning what had been a 13-point deficit down to 7.
So they're trying to make sure, can I run the baseline? No, this is not after the shot. It was a dead ball. There's all these nuances that you have to get clear before you make a decision.
Fired into Blackshear. Throw ahead and done. Will dribble out the clock. But what could have been a double-digit deficit for the Tigers through 3 turns into 7. Psychologically, little different as we head to the huddles for the 4th quarter.
Welcome to the neighborhood. Now, did you know that Geico could help with your homeowner's insurance?
Your Nats.
Okay, it wasn't quite a beta machine. It was VHS. Come on, Andy. But let me tell you what. I thank this production crew for this wonderful moment. This come on, man moment. But if there were a stat for the most screens set for All-Americans upstream, Dolores Boots and Ida Neal, or downstream and Joyce Pierce and Karen Loon Lounsbury, I would have gotten it. And let me tell you what Hermosa has done. She is giving great shine to that number 20. And if she can shine right now, it will be a difference maker in this ball game.
Run out off the short three from Bradford. Morgan across to Dawn. Off glass for 2 more. I don't know what you're talking about. I saw a textbook chest pass, a crisp bounce pass. That is ball rotation that'll give you whiplash.
Hey, the only career stat line I'm still on, Nerea Hermosa has passed me on, okay? And it's career field goal percentage. And I'm hanging in the top 10, but she is well past me.
Opening minute, fourth quarter. Clemson used a 6-0 run over the last 16 seconds of the third quarter to pull within 7. Here's a 3 short from the corner.
One of the things I always loved, Andy, about, and this was 30 years ago before most of the people on our production staff were born, is Coach Jim Davis. And Coach Amanda Butler has kind of revived that era of disciplined defensive basketball, full court, line to line. Well, I loved playing against Coach Jim Davis. I called him on the way down to the game today. I said, hey, Coach Davis, I love listening to you on the game. And I'm telling you right now, he was answering me. He was letting me know, tag. He said, I remember when the left-hand long ball, Aaron Bath, I remember when.
Our coach never forgets a scouting report.
Oh, no, he never forgets. And I'll never forget playing against those tough Clemson Tigers, because every time you went on the court to play them, you knew it was going to be a battle baseline to baseline, just like tonight, possession basketball.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle for the final 8:51 as Swartz was fouled on the jump shot by Whitehorn. It's not quite the 39 points she ripped off for Boston College versus the Tigers last year, but Swartz is a handful, 15 points for the senior from Marietta, Georgia.
Can you imagine if she has 30, I mean, if you have half the team's points, I mean, only a handful of times have I ever personally seen that. In the ACC, for sure.
Yeah, 39 of 80, so if you want to round up, it was 50.
That's right. Hey, I got 2 degrees from the North Avenue Trade School here, but you're the numbers guy. All right, I still use a calculator.
Swartz 4 of 4 at the free throw line tonight. Tech back in front, double digits. At her ACC high of 17 in Tech's lone conference win versus Syracuse a week ago. Pass thrown away. Perpignan wasn't ready for it, but it's rescued by Whitehorn.
And that's where Georgia Tech has got to get scrappy like the Tigers, and they've got to get that 50-50 ball. With all due respect, she hit her in the head, Andy. So when you see that, you've got to get on top of it.
Boso, by the way, whistled for her 3rd foul. And Douglas will take over for Perpignan.
A rare mistake in that offensive scheme, and that's where defensively Georgia Tech just has to get a little more discipline. The highest form of discipline is self-discipline. You don't discipline yourself, believe me, the defensive coordinator is going to discipline you.
Whitehorn racks up the screen from Robinson. Hemmed in nicely by Dunn. Nice dive cut. Hank never stopped moving. And the senior from Australia cashes in.
There's the extra effort that Coach is talking about defensively and offensively. That was a textbook run for both teams.
Remember, Georgia Tech will try to protect this lead over the final 8 minutes without Bianca Jackson, not available tonight. Team's 2nd leading scorer as Swartz cans another one.
Andy, I mean, you called that 24 hours ago. You were thinking about that.
Cam Swartz, 4 of 11 from 3. She's got 20. Out ball hawking Bradford.
It's what's given Tech separation tonight, which is hard to find in the ACC this time of year, by the way.
Whitehorn, jump stop, turn around, good.
Every part of the room. Just BEA, beautiful.
McDonald's All-American. First to suit up for the Tigers in school history. Teams trading baskets, still a 10-point Tech lead.
And you think about the multiple ACC coaches of the years and the NCAA tournament runs and their first McDonald's All-American. Wow.
Morgan attacks. Almost threw it away. Dunn tracks it down. Shot clock down to 7. Blackshear into the lane, and she flips it in.
Silky smooth. Kayla Blackshear for the long, like Dave Cousy, like runner.
That ties a career high for Blackshear, 18. She also had that versus Miami as Hermosa rips down the miss from Douglas. And it's been an efficient 18 for the sophomore Kayla Blackshear. And timeout, Nell Fortner. 30-second timeout for the Yellow Jackets head coach. 6:37 to play, 66-54. Jackets in front. Georgia Tech has extended its lead back to 12, 66-54 over Clemson. Tech swept the series last year. In those two games, Tag, they averaged 57% field goal shooting. It has not been nearly as gifted an offensive team for Nell Fortner this year. In fact, 14th in the ACC in field goal percentage in conference play. But look at the work they have done tonight against Amanda Butler's defense.
Coach Fortner this week in practice, Andy said every correction and nuance matters. This week on January 26th, use your length to fill in the blank, your strength, stay away from your weaknesses. It's a thin line between who wins and loses, but you have to believe and work, not just work and not just believe and work.
Just to put that 54% in perspective, Clemson in his last game held Boston College to 32%. Too tall on the lob, thrown away by Blackshear.
You got it. If it, I got it. You take it. If it touches my hand, it's mine. But you have to hunt down even if it's just an inch away. If it touches my hand, it's mine.
Well, this Clemson team forces 19 turnovers a game. That's only the 10th against Tech.
To your point, Georgia Tech has done a great job of shortening the passes and shortening, whether dribble or pass, but making sure of the passes. And with this relentless defense by the Tigers, you have to.
Oh, the ankle breaker, Whitehorn.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Alert the medics.
She's just silky smooth.
Oh, boy. The ACC has 3 more years to get used to that sight.
Oh, man. And everybody's talking about her. A lot of coaches are talking about her right now. And Coach Butler's wanting to maybe talk about that call. Watch the silky smooth, the stop, the dribble between the legs, crossover. Looks like she's going left and then turns right to just lay it in the basket like butter.
We call that an ankle breaker, soul taker. Oh, wide open. It is done, and she gets her comeuppance from the last play as she shook Whitehorn.
So what that is, that's Greg Cowan. That's just good video scouting right there. They saw something, the nuances that we just talked about, Coach Fortner, making sure that the nuances, the audibles that come this time of year are the difference makers.
Perpignan on the drive, gets the bump from Blackshear.
Oh, they're going to call.
They are going to score it.
And Coach Fortner, she might have to negotiate this as well. You think, partner?
Let's take a last look at that side out of bounds, the slobs, as we call them. And worked it to perfection.
There's a name you're going to say a lot in the future, too. Kara Dunn. Freshman, can't play with them, can't play without them. I watched her mom as a young freshman in college when she played at Georgia. I was in graduate school here at Georgia Tech. And Kara's just got it. She's got the look. Had a dad who played baseball in college, had a mom who played college basketball, and she's just poised for a great future. Not putting up the points and the rebounds and all the assists right now in every game consistently like Tonie Morgan is, but if she does, look out.
She's occupying some of these crunch time minutes in the absence of Bianca Jackson. Morgan nearly lost her dribble. Now, one thing to monitor, Tag, both teams' leading scorers on the season have 4 personals. Swartz for Tag, Robinson for Clemson.
That's a great call. How you come up with these things?
Morgan rims out the pull-up, offensive rebounded by Hermosa, and she'll shoot 2.
Differences that are difference makers. Hermosa winning the war in the block. It's just the extra offensive effort that Georgia Tech's giving right now that's making a difference, because the defense from Clemson, it is scrappy, it is sly, it is absolutely strong in all the strongest places it can be.
We've seen a lot of composure from Georgia Tech, milking possessions against that Clemson zone, and for the first time in 8 games, they're Nerea Hermosa to shoot free throws. And that makes a new season high 11 for the senior from Vitoria, Spain, who last year in that overtime thriller here against Clemson played all 45 minutes. She had 19 points, 9 rebounds. And so even though her numbers are significantly down this year, Nell Fortner had an inkling she would be heard from and would influence this game, and she certainly has.
Well, every coach or assistant that's watching this game knows that the numbers never lie. Statistics do, but the numbers never lie. But if you're in practice with these young people every day, you know what they're doing.
Whitehorn.
Come on, man.
She is fun to watch.
It's just effortless. Just absolutely effortless on both ends of the floor.
Morgan, coast to coast, gets the roll, and a three-point play coming up for Morgan.
Speaking of which, these are the things that Georgia Tech hasn't had answers in the past. But look at this silky smooth. Anything you can do, I can do better.
And Tonie Morgan has her first career point assist double-double. Third of the season for the ACC Rookie of the Week. Give her 10 points, a dozen assists.
And when I say anything you can do, I can do better, she just did it differently because they're both just phenomenal, silky smooth, right down the middle of the lane.
The player that Nell Fortner told us today was a turnover machine early in the season. She forces the turnover. Hounded by Whitehorn. Able to weave her way out. Now goes to work on Whitehorn. Whitehorn got a piece. And it caroms off last by the Tigers.
Got a little bit of a break. Now here's where Morgan can't act like a freshman for the last 4 possessions. She has got to get into the headspace of an upperclassman. Calm, cool, collected. I know she's been there before on the high school level, but this is on any given night, any ACC team can swing this point differential. I promise you that.
Well, her and Whitehorn in this fourth quarter, just the imperviousness to the pressure, either making up a deficit or protecting a lead. Morgan will launch. Run out rebound for Bradford. Poked away, Dunn with the quick hands. Tigers still down a dozen.
Kara Dunn isn't always getting the steal on that poke, but she's disrupting the fast break. We just saw Whitehead, to your point, go coast to coast, rim to rim with your long 4. Silky smooth 2, 3. She can play any position. She can play 1 through 5. Forget about it.
Bradford slides behind the screen. In the lane. Knocks it down. Taps to the 10 as the Tigers crank up the full court pressure. Swartz finds Dunn cutting.
So now we're back to like the first possessions of the game. You see that full court extension. Georgia Tech, if you can't lay it up, you got to set it up and break down the defensive clock.
Blackshear strong to the rack. No, off the hands of Hank.
But Hermosa's extra effort is what caused that. So we see Nerea Hermosa getting involved without the ball, and that's a difference maker tonight.
Yeah, this is, I'm not Nell Fortner, but should probably concur. Nerea Hermosa's best game of the season, just in the impact that she's had on both ends.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
And she catches and unloads to Swartz. Cam Swartz, 20 tonight for the Jackets, a new ACC high.
Wow.
At least this year. We know what her all-time ACC high is.
Partner, we know it's like a whole nother season coming up the next month.
Shot clock at 5. Morgan whips it down to Dunn. Catch and shoot around, no good. Blackshear offensive rebound.
Are you kidding me?
Just digs that away from 3 Tigers, and timeout Nell Fortner as you saw her sophomore in some trouble. Georgia Tech uses the timeout. 2:53 remaining. Jackets lead by 10.
We did it, Wilbur! Huzzah!
Situation to McCamish Pavilion last year. Deja Bradford had a runner at the horn to force overtime, but the Jackets won 92-84. 73-63. Jackets lead. It was a 5-point Tech lead at halftime. Run under the basket. Dunn got smothered over the top. Jump ball is the call. And to Overstreet from the wing. Will she get overruled by Jeffrey Smith on the baseline? It is a jump ball, but the possession arrow keeps it with Tech.
Including the referees, everybody's got clear assignments, and the referees do too on those calls. It's only Bob Burkhart's work reveals the truth. The big eye in the sky, and Nell Fortner's pointing like, hey, we got that on film.
And done this time. No argument on the foul.
I like the extra effort by Dunn. This is what I like about that, Andy. She got stuffed. Okay, that's not fun. You know, you sort of think about that for a second, and then you go in. Is there any hesitation whatsoever? Absolutely not. She just takes it right back up on that inbounds.
And 9 points, 6 rebounds against North Carolina Sunday. Through freshman Dallas, Georgia. And that is Georgia Tech's first miss at the line in 11 attempts tonight. Georgia Tech second in the ACC behind Florida State in free throw percentage and on pace to break a school record.
Well, here's where Kara's just got to act like you've been there before. She's a state championship player. She made some big buckets in that state championship game. I got to witness that firsthand.
Splits the pair to make it an 11-point lead. Morgan rips down the miss.
Maybe just a little too quick from Clemson. Maybe just a little too much of a, pressing a little bit. But you have to score quickly, and you have to score with the clock stop, preferably.
Robinson batted away the high post entry. Fit on the lane, laying it in. Amari Robinson not trying to go down quietly. In her return to Metro Atlanta, there's a foul on Branford as she jammed up Morgan.
Yeah. Look at the leadership by Amari Robinson right here. Just calling everybody in, making sure that everybody's on the page. Listen, here's our assignments. There's nuances, yes. Every coach has audibles that they're letting happen, but I like how she huddles the team right there, and then Georgia Tech to follow.
Robinson, a team-high 17 points. Georgia Tech in the bonus. Tonie Morgan, the 2 coming up. 11 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists for the ACC Rookie of the Week.
So time and score are on Tech's side right now. So what you've got to do, Clemson's got to shorten that time. They're going to go for every steal. They don't care if it's close or not. They're going to try to score quickly. They're going to try to put the ball in the bucket with high percentage shots.
Back out to an 11-point edge. Bradford with the runner. Topples over Blackshear. She was outside the charge area. Offensive foul. Well, whenever a team gets a charge, it is a celebration on the Georgia Tech bench.
Coach Tasha Butts called it. Look at her. Right out just inches. It's a game of inches, Andy. And you saw that foot right at the last second. Get it 1 inch outside that rim.
Slow feet don't eat. Georgia Tech will again have to withstand this full court pressure. 2 minutes remaining. Georgia Tech searching for a second conference win. Done. No. Blackshear. Who else? ACC's second leading offensive rebounder, just has the knack.
My goodness. Now it's high risk, high reward. Again, if Kara Dunn hits that, everybody on the Georgia Tech team's clapping. If she doesn't, Kayla Blackshear's got the rebound. Forget about it.
Low post entry tipped away. Clemson forces the turnover. Needing to hurry. Bradford lets it fly.
Well, you got to score some long and some short, so you might as well start trying either one.
And Butler calls timeout, 1:33 to play. Clemson just 26% from 3 tonight, 5 of 19.
So in this time and score, it's just a total go for it. You're going to go for every steal. If you get a foul, it doesn't matter.
Boy, Georgia Tech with an ACC high this year in points scored, and its highest since that overtime win versus Clemson last year. Nell Fordner. Look, she's as straightforward as they come, and she'd be the first to tell you we haven't been good offensively.
Yeah.
But she's gotten the ball rotation and then the execution when they have gotten the available looks that can try to send her team a minute 33 from a second ACC win.
They had high energy practices this week. There was no pressure. It didn't feel heavy at all. It felt light and bright and went back to fundamentals. Shape up, show strong, shorten every shot or pass with a dribble, with a pump fake, and they have executed to perfection that plan tonight.
Tech is off this weekend. Clemson welcomes in number 15, North Carolina. And even though the Tigers will likely not get the result they want tonight, we've seen what they've done against a ranked team in Virginia Tech. We saw how close they were against Notre Dame. They led the Irish by 9 in the first half, but 26 turnovers squandered the upset. And so the Tar Heels will be on high alert, and they venture into Littlejohn on Sunday.
Oh, there's no doubt. And Coach Amanda Butler coaching till the clock stops, and she is relentless about that. She's not looking at light bulbs in the building. She's looking at what's going on in the heart of her program, because she knows on any given night, anybody can win against anybody in this. This is probably the deepest. Obviously, you guys showed a picture of me from 30 years ago when I was on this court, so thank you for that. But this is one of the deepest and strongest ACC fields I have ever seen in my lifetime, certainly in women's basketball. Coast to coast, people are talking about it.
Swartz, a rare miss at the line. And to that point about the toughness of the league, Georgia Tech had to weather its first 0-7 start in the ACC since 1985, but now a chance for 2 wins in their last 3 and an even rarer empty foul trip from Cam Swartz. Hope is fading, but it still has a flicker for the Tigers. That 3 doesn't fall.
And this is where you've got to close out if you're Georgia Tech and keep fighting if you're Clemson.
Bradford continues to fire away. There's nothing working for the Tigers from 3. Perpignan off the mark. Rebound. Saved along the baseline by Dunn.
Let me tell you what's no fun. You talk about Bob Burkhart. You talk about the big eye in the sky, never lying, okay? He's the center court cameraman. The coaches are going to watch this film. I don't care what the light bulbs in the building say about what's going on. And they're going to probably start with that in practice the next day because Clemson got 5 shots. I mean, 4 legitimate, good look threes. And that's what Coach Butler's talking about. She's talking about the kinds of things that you need when you're going into a long ACC run. And when this conference is as deep as it is, and all the bracketology, all the people that make those predictions, they've got to take that line as deep as they can in the ACC because every team this deep deserves it.
Dunn, one of 4 jackets in double figures, make it 5. She has 11. Timeout Clemson. Lead back out to 13. And give Georgia Tech some credit here. It got a little nervy there at the end of the 3rd quarter, but Clemson used its full court pressure to rip off a 6-0 run, head to the 4th quarter down by 7. There was a point where that game was in the balance, could have gone either way, but Nell Fortner's team played with poise on the offensive end, but really turned things up defensively here in the 4th quarter. And her team staring at another home win.
Andy, both these coaches are educators. You say, now, as a 13-point lead, as a fan, and someone whose livelihood doesn't depend on the performance of 18 to 22-year-olds, if you haven't played on this court or sat not where we're sitting, we're here because of these student athletes and because of these coaches and what they do and all the people that make this great game possible. This is an educator. Coach Amanda Butler is coaching to the clock.
And
She's not coaching
you actually
to the player.
coached against her when she was a player and you were a GA, you told me.
Yeah, well, actually, we played against each other in college. We're the same age. So she was at Florida when I was at Georgia Tech. She was the head coach at the University of Florida when I was associate head coach at Florida State. And so you just see that she's just one of the great minds and the great energy. Like, she's just an Energizer bunny and just gives and gives and gives. And we talked about the Clemson Life program and the great things that they do off the court. She and Nell Fortner are 2 of the best ambassadors for women's basketball in the game, and they've been doing it, talk about a stretch defense, longer than most of our production crew has been alive.
Yeah. And you could probably attest firsthand, her teams play like she played.
Absolutely, partner.
She was with the Seminoles. Robinson, 4-3.
Yeah, you better believe it when she was a Gator and didn't have to change her colors, coming from...
Jackets break the press. Dunn flips it home.
Okay, this is something that we haven't seen Georgia Tech do, which is close out a game strong in the ACC with this win.
Robinson, no time to wait. Starting to heat up. Back-to-back triples for Amari Robinson.
I'm telling you, she's relentless, and this game is never over till it's over.
Jackets once again defang the full court press. And they can sit on clock here. Final 30 seconds. Blackshear takes a bump.
So even that high ball pass, there wasn't a lot of salsa on that pass. There wasn't a lot of hot sauce on that pass. We need a little Texas Pete out there, Tony. That could have been an easy pick 6 right there. Coach Fortner, the same thing. She's on the sideline talking to Cam Swartz. Cam Swartz is a graduate, a senior, a long-in senior on this COVID era, okay? And there's Coach Nell Fortner just talking it up and saying, hey, here's what our system is. I know the systems you've been in, and as this culture continues with the transfer portal, it's going to be learning a new system with the quickness. You don't have 4 years to learn a system.
Well, she got the kind of Cam Swartz performance that she and Amanda Butler and the rest of the ACC coaches saw from her last season at Boston College. That last free throw gives Kayla Blackshear a new career-high 19 points for Swartz, a team-high 20.
close out. You play every possession. You play to the clock. You don't play to how you feel. You got to have the look regardless of how you feel right now.
Robinson. Another three. And it's a 7-point game. Still 21 seconds left. And timeout, Nell Fortner. Amari Robinson with an eruption from beyond the arc.
Coach Amanda Butler, you've seen the high energy from her the whole time. We've all been in these games. Coach Nell Fortner, understanding that her program, her team that rather she has in programs, her team hasn't been in this situation. So they've just got to take care of the rock. Short, sharp passes. Time and score are on their side. So you meet every pass. You make sure every pass is on the money, and you better hit them in the numbers when you do.
Well, Amari Robinson is single-handedly keeping this within reach for the Tigers. That gives her 26. It's one shy of a career high. Clemson had been 5 of 23 from 3 as a team before Robinson has ripped off 3 in a row.
Timeout advances the ball, but the look on Robinson's face is relentless right now. Georgia Tech's just got to short, sharp, hit them in the numbers, be sure of it, and get on the free throw line.
And those threes all in the last 30 seconds. Swartz trying to fend off the double team. She's fouled.
Yeah, it's the all-hands team right now. You want your best free throw shooters in. You want to make sure that you meet the pass every time.
Battles a fourth on Perpignan. Well, that is a timeless expression for a head coach. Not until the clock hits all zeros.
You better believe it. Coach Fortner, you see Buzz with a little bling tonight. I noticed that.
Probably not high VVS count.
Good call.
Swartz cashes them both in. Yeah, Buzz could mug a little bit for the cameras. It's been a good night for the Yellow Jackets against the Clemson team that, like we said, has already surpassed its ACC win total from last season. Earned their first win over a top 10 opponent in 22 years earlier this season. Bradford backing down Harrison, 11 seconds left, and she'll shoot 2.
Yeah, it's the same call in the first 10 seconds. It's the same call in the last 10 seconds. The teaching points that you're going to get from this on both ends of the ball, you're going to see how one possession matters. You're going to understand how just in that one moment I've given that extra effort.
Pass thrown away. Swartz with some last sauce on this night for the Yellow Jackets. Cam Swartz up to her old tricks against the Tigers. It wasn't quite the 39 she hung on them last year with Boston College, but Swartz was locked in, as was the rest of Nell Fortner's Yellow Jackets. 85 points behind 24 from Swartz, and after an 0-7 starting conference, maybe that corner is starting to turn for the Jackets. They've won 2 of their last 3 in the ACC and earned a 9th straight home win over Clemson, 85.